What's up, Grim Crew? Welcome back to the channel for another video. I am the Grim Gamer. Welcome back to my gaming dungeon. And today, I got another top 5 countdown for you. So last week, I talked about my top 5 favorite full-length playthroughs of games that I've done on stream in the year 2025. Well, I do a lot of... Well, I try to do a lot of full-length playthroughs, but I also do a lot of one-offs, just one-and-dones. Games that I'd like to just give a try, but I'm not sure if I want to devote all the time into playing it all the way through, because my backlog of games is, well, it's a lot. But there's a lot of games that I'd like to try, but I don't necessarily know if I want to devote the time to play them all the way through. So some of these I'll just stick in the middle between my full-length playthroughs and just give them a shot. Just see how they go, just if I'm going to like them or not. And so I do a lot of those as well. So this is the top 5 countdown of my favorite one-off streams that I did in 2025. Let's get to the list.
Terminator 2D No Fate barely sneaks its way onto this list. And not because I barely liked it enough for it to make it or anything like that, but because of how late it released and when it was that I got to play it. I didn't get to spend a whole lot of time with it. But I did get my one-off in right towards the very end of the year, and well, now here it is. Now, traditionally, this is not my style of game. But this is a prime example of something that I say all the time. If the story and the characters are good enough, it can carry the entire game for me. And the only reason I wanted to play this in the first place is because, well, the story of T2, well, it's an all-time classic. And it's still one of my favorite movies to this day. So I figured I have to give it a shot. And when I played it, I was pleasantly surprised. Even though it is short in length, what Bitmap Bureau was able to put into this, how much they were able to cram in such a short game is, quite frankly, amazing. In this 2D format, we go from a shooter to a section that's a bit of a beat-em-up to some driving sections, and then you have to do a little bit of sneaking. Like, it changes up constantly, and it works. So then upon multiple playthroughs even, you get choices that you can make, and it changes the story so you can see the what if scenarios. If I did this, or if I did that, or, well, even in as far as the movie goes, as far as the story, well, if this person would have done this, or if this person would have done that. It's a very neat way that they had incorporated that in. But as far as without making those choices, story-wise, it stays true to its source material, while also giving us those additional, well, actually giving us different additional scenes for backstory. For instance, like Sarah blowing up the computer factory that John mentions at the beginning of the movie. But we never see that. We get to play it here for context. And I love small details in games also. This game is full of them. So, like in the mental hospital, in the movie, Sarah's sitting with Dr. Silverman. They're watching an old tape of one of her previous sessions. And in the game, as you go through the hospital, in one room, there's a TV, and it has an image of that tape. So they really paid attention, and they really did the movie justice here, I think, in this format. And that was the most important thing for me. The absolute most important thing is that it stuck to the source material. Plus, it was fun to play. It's still not really my type of game, but for what it is and how it was done, I had a lot of fun with it. Ed, Edd and Eddy, The Misadventures on the Nintendo GameCube was an absolute blast for me. This was a cartoon I watched growing up, and it was one of my absolute favorites. So when I learned that an Ed, Edd and Eddy game even existed, and this is only one of like 4 or 5 of them, but most of them are on the Game Boy Advance. So this is the only console one that I know of. But when I figured out and found out that this existed, I had to play it. It absolutely had to happen. And I'm so glad that I did. This took me right back to when I was a kid, and even on the title screen and the show's theme song plays, I was just bopping up and down like I did when I was a kid listening to this thing. It took me right back to those days. Now, the gameplay isn't much to write home about. It's not very complex or complicated, but it wasn't a real headache either. Like, it wasn't mind-numbingly simple. And so, it was okay. But being able to play as all three Ed boys, and that changed things up a little bit, because they all had their different things that they could do, different attacks and different special things. Plus, there was special moves that you can do by using like all three of the Eds at the same time. You could stack them, or you could battering ram with them, or whatever. So that added some different elements and changed things up a little bit throughout the playthrough. As best I can tell, all of the voice actors came back to reprise their roles, so all the characters sounded exactly like they should have, which helped a lot in making me feel like, that this was just like the show. And each level, actually, is set up just like an episode of the show, so it made it very easy to feel like I was experiencing the show all over again all these years later. The 3D art style of the game felt a little awkward at times, but not so bad that it ruined it. There's just a couple frames where it's like, that doesn't look quite right. But it was fine. Overall, it was mindless fun based on a show I loved so much when I was a kid. The nostalgia carried this one for me, for sure, like 100%. If it weren't for my love of the show from when I was a kid, the nostalgia I have for it, this one probably would have been middle of the road, just mediocre for me at best, but I absolutely love this. I laughed the entire time, and it was just a fun time, and it was easily one of my favorite one-offs that I got to do this year.
Watch these rocket legs take off.
Cruisin' Blast on the Nintendo Switch was just that, a blast. I've enjoyed the Cruisin' series over the years, at least the ones that I have played. Like, I've played USA and Cruisin' World. So I've never played, like, Exotica or anything like that. But compared to the older ones, the ones that I do know, this one just takes things way over the top. And it's fantastic. I mean, the tracks are crazy. The speed is nuts. The cars getting smashed and parts flying everywhere makes it feel completely chaotic. Some of the cars, and I use that term loosely here with cars, that you can unlock, like a helicopter, a UFO, a Triceratops, and even a hammerhead shark. Yeah, cars. Makes this feel completely unhinged, and I loved every second of it. This game is so ridiculous. It's hard not to have fun with it. And this is another one of those games like Terminator 2D from earlier, and actually I think I failed to mention this, but this is another one of those games that are perfect for when you want to play something and don't have a lot of time. You can pick this up, run a couple races, and put it back down if you have to, and you'll have fun with it each and every time. I wasn't expecting this game to be as out there as it is, but it made it so much fun for me, and I really had a good time with this one.
Right around that final bend, that's what I'm talking about. Starting way over there for it. 6 lanes.
Road Rash on the PlayStation 1 is another game that takes me back to my childhood. However, this is not the version of the game that I played back then. My brother and I had this one on PC back in the day, and it was one of the few that we did play on PC back then. And I didn't even know there was a PS1 version of it for quite some time. I think I figured that out maybe a couple years back. And I finally decided to pick me up a copy, and it's exactly what I remembered. now I've always loved the Road Rash series, and to have this and to be able to play it again, it makes me so happy. Now I don't remember the PC version 100% clearly, because it's been a long time since I've played it. But from my best recollection of it, from that version to this version, to me, it looks the same, it sounds the same, and it plays the same. And that's not a bad thing. That's exactly what I wanted. The racing is fast. The combat still feels good. It's just like every Road Rash. It gets more difficult the further you get, and but this particular version, it did suffer a little bit from that classic lengthy PS1 load times in spots. And I also did experience some strange audio problems in certain spots for some reason, but still, this was a blast. I love this. I had a lot of fun with this. For me, there's nothing better than clobbering another rider with a club and then going on to win the race. It just feels good. All the real life video clips that were in the PC version that I remember are also still here. So even seeing those took me back to when I was a kid. Road Rash on the PS1 was just a great time. And it really makes me wish we could get a new Road Rash game nowadays. I know that there's a couple what they call spiritual successors, but I mean, are they really the same? I don't know. I've never played those either. They're on my list. I'll get to them, I swear. But I will always have this, and I will always enjoy it.
Another 97 points, just like so.
Well, this one is a bit of a shock even for me, but number one on this list for 2025 of my favorite one-off games, streams that I've done, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu on the Nintendo Switch. And this one also took me back to my childhood, but with a twist. Now, I loved Pokemon when I was a kid. I mean, I got wrapped up in it just like every other kid back then. And I probably put an unhealthy amount of hours into some of those originals: blue, yellow, silver, crystal. I remember, playing these in the backseat of my parents' car on my purple Game Boy Color. Those are some very, very fond memories for me. And I've been kind of wanting to play some of those old ones again for quite some time before picking this up. And I mentioned that to a friend, and that friend had suggested that I play this because it's basically a remade version of Yellow. So I thought, yeah, sure, I'll give it a try. Why not? And I'm so glad that I did. This version, compared to the old ones, it has so many life improvements that help the game flow so much better. I mean, there's still a bit of grinding in this one, but nowhere near as bad as the originals. Now, I gotta admit, some of those changes took me a bit to get used to. The fact that you don't battle the wild Pokemon, that felt a bit strange. Like, it felt a bit off to me. It didn't seem right. But the trade-offs made it so worth it. The fact that all the Pokemon in your party all gain experience at the same time with every single one of them that you catch cuts that grind down significantly. And visually, it looks amazing. Visually, it's stunning. Being able to see the wild Pokemon as you're walking around, that's really nice. Although one thing I didn't like was only being able to use one Joy-Con to play. That is very strange, and it feels very awkward. I didn't know what to do with my other hand the entire time I played it. It just feels weird, and I don't like it. I wish there was some way to change that. But one other thing, I feel like this one is geared a lot more towards kids because it feels very forgiving, if that makes sense. It didn't feel all that difficult to go through this one. Most of the battles, especially if you remember the type advantages and disadvantages, you can plow right through all the different battles practically with no issue. But I wasn't upset by that because it cut the play down quite a bit. And I know that doesn't matter to some people, but I I've mentioned it before, I'll say it again. I don't have the kind of time that I used to, especially back in the day playing these old games. You know, I don't. And so I felt like I was able to make a lot of progress in a short amount of time, and that was really nice. This felt good to play because I stopped paying attention to Pokemon in Gen 2. So nowadays, I have no idea what's going on with the series at all, but this felt familiar with a few new things, like some of the Mega Evolved forms and the Alolan forms, if I'm saying that correctly. Correct me if the comments if I'm not. It made it feel fresh, at least to me, but it kept it familiar at the same time, which was really nice. And now I could talk for a good while, and actually I already have about this, so I need to stop here. But just I enjoyed this one a lot, so much so that I continued to play it off stream once my one-off of it was done, all the way up until I got all the way through the Elite Four. So it's one of the few that I continue to play once my stream was over. This was easily my favorite one-off stream of the year, and I kind of wish I had turned this one into a full playthrough on my streams. It would have been nice to have gone all the way through, but this one tops the charts this year.
Well, there we have it. My top 5 one-off streams that I did in 2025. Are any of these games on this list any of your favorites? Are they ones that you might want to try out for yourself? If so, let me know in the comments down below. And if you like this video, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already so you don't miss out on more top 5 lists like this, or retro game hunting, or retro game unboxings, or the live stream replays, or just whatever it is that I decide to do. So with that, this is another video that is done. I am the Grim Gamer, and I will catch y'all next time.